Hello and welcome to a long wrap-up. I already know before I start to film this that this is going to be long. I'm going to put timestamps for anyone that is not interested in some of the books and my opinions on them. I read 12 books, which is a lot. I mostly did that because of the magical readathon. I think if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have read as many. Just saying. I also DNF'd a book, which I will mention later when I talk about the books. Let's just get into the stats because I'm rambling. So in terms of genre, I read 5 fantasy books, 5 contemporary romance books, and 2 graphic novels. And then for star rating, I have 1 5-star, 2 4.5 stars, 4 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 1 3-star, 1 2.5, and 1 2-star. And in total, I read 4,557 pages. Now I hope you're ready because it's time for me to talk about my feelings and thoughts about books. Let's go. The first book that I finished in April was Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, the second and last book of the Strange the Dreamer duology. This is about 2 characters, Laszlo and Sarai, in a magical world. I don't know how to explain this, I'm gonna be honest, because I don't want to spoil it, and I honestly think you should just go into it without knowing what it's about. But I gave this a 3.5. I don't know what that says. This, I just didn't like it. The first book I gave a 4, if I remember correctly. It was okay. I mean, it was good. 4 is a good book, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. These 2 books were part of my 5-star predictions, so can you tell I'm disappointed? Because I am. This book just dragged a little bit. Nothing really happens, in my opinion, throughout most of the book. In this, we obviously follow the same characters as the first book, but there are 2 new ones. I really liked them, but I didn't like the other aspects of their story. I don't want to spoil. I just didn't like what was done in this book. I thought it was going to be something else. It was not. This book, as well as the first one, super predictable, and I don't like that in books. I want to be surprised when I'm reading a book that isn't romance. Just very predictable, most of the things. And the romance, okay, this is a fantasy romance book. The romance is not it. The main romance is between, obviously, Laszlo and Sarai. Didn't care for it. The romance that I did care about was of Errol Fane, I think his name is, and his wife. Peak romance, love them. Also, in the first book, there's like a plot twist moment, which I predicted was coming, but we never find out in the first book why that is. In this book, they reveal it. It was so bad. Mega letdown, so boring. I didn't like it. Whatever. Rant is over. I didn't really like this. I gave it a 3.5, but I've read it now. The next book that I read in April was an arc from NetGalley called My Mechanical Romance by Alexene Farol Follmuth, I think, which I think is a pen name, pseudonym, I don't know, for Olivia Blake. Another author, I forgot her name. I think she has a similar name to me. I think it's like Olivia or Olivia something, but it's the same author. That was confusing. And this follows 2 characters that are kind of in engineering. We have the female character, I've forgotten the names. She somehow gets to be involved in the robotics club in her school, and there is the guy lead who is the leader of this club. I also forgot his name. They kind of are rivals in the beginning. Obviously, the story is rivals to lovers, and it's about them making a robot for a robot fighting competition. I gave this a 3.5, same as Muse of Nightmares, and I think I might be part of the unpopular opinion because literally yesterday I saw a TikTok of somebody saying everyone had to read this book immediately because it was so good, and I just didn't really like it. The characters were fun. The guy was cool. The girl, even though she annoyed me in the beginning, later on she was likable, I guess. I really liked the female lead's best friend. She had really funny quotes in the whole book. But I low-key felt that the side characters were better than the two main ones. So maybe that's the problem. The romance was okay. It was a little too young for me, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like if I were 13 or 14 and read this, 5 stars possibly. But for me right now, it just was not it. The thing that bothered me the most about this book is that it is about women in STEM. And so obviously there's sexism and stuff like that in the book, but it was never addressed. A teacher slightly did, but the whole book, all the guys were really sexist towards the girls in the club. And at the end of the book, it still was not addressed. It like kind of was, but not enough for me. I don't know. Also, as I said before, the main character, the girl, she annoyed me in the beginning because she was like, robots aren't for girls. It's 2022. Can we stop, please? The next book that I read in April was a graphic novel called Cosplay by an author that I cannot say the name. It's Maribel something. I don't know. Which is about characters going to a Comic-Con sort of thing, and there they get involved in a conspiracy, I guess. There's a guy who is being chased by police and they're trying to help the guy. I gave this book also a 3.5. I don't know what happened at the beginning of the month. They were all meh. I liked this. It was fun. It kind of had a Where's Wally vibe to it, if you know what those books are. I loved them as a kid. I really like the pop culture references, even though that's one of the things that I hate in books. In this, loved it. You could kind of like see in the background of the panels like characters from movies, anime, stuff like that. Obviously it's a Comic-Con, and I felt really excited when I spotted somebody I knew, so that was fun. The characters were fun, just one of them bothered me. One of the main characters' guy friends kept being sexist and kept objectifying women throughout the book. They're supposed to be like 14, which, hello? However, it was addressed. His friends called him out on it, so love that, but it still kind of bothered me. The next book that I read in April was Birthday by Meredith Russo. This is about two friends, Eric and Morgan. Eric is a popular dude in school, and Morgan is trans and going through the discovery that they are trans and that they are in fact a girl and have always been. And it's about them being friends and then more than friends. I hope I explained that correctly. I gave this a 4.5, loved this, almost cried at several points. I didn't though. I love the characters. Eric was my favorite. It's dual POV, which I loved. I loved seeing both of the characters' thoughts, loved it. This was so good. Just wasn't a full 5-star, but this was so good, so good. The next book that I read in April was another arc from NetGalley called The Reunion by Elizabeth Drummond. And this is about two main characters who, when they were in high school, were the head boy and head girl. And their school has this, not a law, they have this like rule or clause, I forgot what it was, that says that if the head boy and the head girl get married in the future, that the school will pay for their wedding and honeymoon. So we follow the two main characters that obviously are head boy and head girl in the future, and they go to a reunion, and both of them need money, so they decide to fake date to get the money for the wedding stuff, even though they hate each other. That's basically it. I gave this a 2-star. The book was super predictable, and usually with romances I don't really care if they're a little bit predictable, but this was way too much. The characters, I didn't really like them. The female lead is so annoying. She is the same as the character from another book that I read called Stonebrook Heiress. She's spoilt, entitled, and unlikable. I did not like her. She's supposed to have like a redemption arc at the end. No. The female lead's family also bullies her relentlessly, but then say like, oh, we tease you because we love you. no. The male lead was okay. He was sweet some moments, but just, I don't know. The romance was not good. They didn't have any chemistry. They went really randomly from hating each other to loving each other in like a second. Although they did have really good banter at times, it still doesn't make it any good. I did not like this. I thought I was going to, but I didn't. The next book that I read in April was a reread, which was The Prince and the Dressmaker by Wang. I obviously gave this 5 stars. This is about a prince who likes to dress up in women's clothing, aka dresses and wigs and stuff. But that's taboo in this kingdom, kind of. And so he hires a dressmaker to make dresses for him. And it's really cute. I love this, reread this, loved it again. I love this. I don't know how else to explain this except that I love this. The next book I did not read, I DNF'd, but it is Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. Yes, I read until page 107 and gave up because it was infuriating and I hated it. I'm going to unhaul it, so bye. The next book that I read was Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. This follows a girl who does not believe in love anymore after she finds out her dad cheated on her mom. And so she ends up, for reasons, she ends up going to this dance studio to return a book that she found, and ends up taking dance lessons and going into a competition with the owner's grandson, who's obviously super hot. I gave this a 3-star, although I'm seriously debating lowering the rating. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it as a 3 for now because I don't know. But I didn't like this. I was so disappointed because I loved the other 2 books by Nicola Yoon, fully sobbed reading The Sun Is Also a Star, and that's one of my favorite books. This was just not it. If you're planning to read this, the synopsis is very misleading. It's not a happy story. Yeah. I thought this was gonna be a fun, lighthearted romance. It is not. The characters were okay. The best character is the like secretary slash instructor called Fifi. Funny, loved her. The romance, I felt like it was insta-lovey. For a character that says that she doesn't believe in love, she instantly falls in love with a guy, and I just didn't like that. Also, the book is called Instructions for Dancing, and there's barely any dancing going on. It's mostly focused on the characters, not the dancing, which is okay sometimes, but like I expected more dancing. They go to a competition and the competition lasts like 3 pages. I was expecting more. I don't know. The dad was the main thing in this book that triggered me and angered me, and I did not like this book, mostly because of that. The dad cheats on the mom, and everyone is against the main character for not forgiving her dad. Nothing in this world would make me forgive my dad if he cheated on my mom. Nothing. So I don't understand why every other character is just okay with the dad cheating. I don't know. It bothered me. Also, during one of the scenes, the new woman in the dad's life, her mom says something that really pissed me off. Hated it. It went along the lines of, I'm so happy that my daughter found such a good man, a family man. Pissed me off so much. This book just made me miserable and I just don't vibe with that, so this book is literally leaving at the end of the year because I need it for my stats. The next book that I read in April was another arc. I read a lot of arcs these days, I don't know. Something's going on. Called The Treehouse on Dog River Road by Catherine Drake. And this is about a character who, after being fired from her job, she moves to her sister's house to take care of her sister's children for the summer while the parents leave on an expedition because they're scientists. I don't remember. And there she decides she's going to build a treehouse for her niece and nephew because that makes sense. And also the neighbor is a really hot guy. I gave this a 2.5. It was meh, literally. 2.5 for me is half of 5, obviously, aka it's not bad, it's not good, it's there. The characters were okay. The main girl, meh. The guy, wholesome at times. The best character was the niece, called Nora, I think. Funny, had extremely peak comedy moments, loved her. And also the dog was a favorite character because he's called Cooper and that's the name of my dog. The romance was meh once again. It felt rushed. I didn't get it. They become in love with each other suddenly and out of nowhere. The guy kisses her out of nowhere and I didn't get it. Their dialogues sort of felt like monologues. It didn't feel like a conversation. The ending was the weirdest thing ever. I'm not gonna spoil in case somebody wants to read this, which I don't recommend it, but you do you, boo. But I just was confused and I didn't like it. I don't know. I didn't like it. The next book that I read in April was another arc. I promise it's the last one. Called In the Shadow of a Wish by Maci Aurora, which is about a character who lives in this world where women need to be married by a certain age, otherwise they will be sold to a like birthing house, I think it was called, or to random people. And men have kind of the same rules. They need to be married by a certain age but much older than women because sexism, and they can have as many wives as they want. But the main character and her family obviously don't like that law. So one day the main character finds a key in the middle of the forest, and that key is possessed by a god called, I think his name was Nyx. And Nyx can grant her 3 wishes, but all wishes have consequences. I don't know if I explained that. It's very confusing. It's basically about a girl and a god who's kind of like a genie, that she has to make 3 wishes and he wants to obviously be freed from being stuck to the key, and to be freed, the girl needs to make a decision at the end of the 3 wishes. Whatever. That was so confusing. I gave this a 4-star. The 2 main characters were, I liked them. The female lead, she's a good character, but like, she felt very not like the other girls. So I don't know. I still liked her. Nyx, love him. Love him. I loved Nyx. Love him so much. Loved his POVs. Their romance was lovely. I loved their banter. Loved it. It did feel kind of insta-lovey, but they didn't become like a couple immediately. They took their time first becoming friends and then lovers, which love that. Also, this book is very spicy. Not very. It's like a 3 out of 5 of spice levels, but love the spice. I liked it. It was fun. Before you read this, just check the trigger warnings because there are some dark moments in this, and I think at the beginning of the book there's like a page with warnings. Just FYI. And the last 3 books that I read were the first 3 books in Heroes of Olympus by Riordan. If you don't know what this series is about, it is about Greek mythology and Roman mythology, and about characters that are demigods. I gave The Lost Hero 4.5 and the other 2 4 stars. Really liked them. This one obviously more. I really liked the new cast. Leo is probably my favorite character because he is so funny. The only complaint I had was it is predictable, but it is a middle grade, so I don't know. The Son of Neptune was also good. As I said, 4 stars. I liked Hazel and Frank. Tyson and Ellie was the cutest thing ever. The only thing I had to complain about this was I don't like the Romans as much as the Greek. I said it. And lastly, Mark of Athena, also gave it a 4 stars. Really liked this. I love Leo once again, and the ending was amazing. But these are all the books I read in April. I'm pretty proud of myself for reading so much. Obviously there are a bunch of books missing. But that is everything for today, and I'll see you in my next weird video. Bye!